popular request. I want to talk about something really quick. What exactly is a wishbone? I've been getting lots of questions about it, and I've had a request for busting out the whiteboard again. So, how am I going to draw this? So we have this we're going to do blocks and squares and circles because that's easy. This is the differential underneath the car on an S197, which is 2005 and newer. They got rid of the 4-link. Before 2005, they had 2 upper control arms like this. Okay, after 2005, on the Mustangs, they went to a single upper control arm that mounts to the body and then 2 lower control arms over here like that. So this makes this a 3-link, which means that there's no triangulation happening on the diff like there was before. So they needed to create something that centers the rear end underneath the car. So say that this is the rear end centered underneath the car, right? Your tires are right here, inside of the wheel wells, perfectly centered, right? What they had to do was create a way, this is on the rear end, and then up here would be on the body, right? And this is not to scale, obviously. What they did was, instead of having this triangulated 4-link where they could make one arm longer and the other one shorter and scoot the rear end this way, or vice versa, go that way, what they did was they mounted what was called a Panhard bar, which crosses over like this. And the Panhard bar mounts to the body on this side and to the rear end on that side. And what it does is, from factory, it's a set length, which centers the rear end underneath the car. But you can buy aftermarket ones, which you can make longer and shorter, which if you make this longer, if you make the Panhard bar longer, it would push the rear end this way out from underneath the body. And if you made it shorter, then it would make it scoot this way. And that works. Drop the lid, hold on. And that works for factory because they are not taking drag racing into consideration. They're just talking about driving. Look at, I've got graffiti artists up here. What happens when you're drag racing? Now, we talked about in another video about how we want to see separation right here from the body of the car when we leave. So we want the car to separate and push over, kind of like push over the top instead of squatting down and wheeling. We don't want the car to squat and wheelie. We want it to separate and push over the top. But when you're sitting here at ride height, when the car separates, right? When the body pushes up off of the rear end. Think here now. Look, this is connected from the body to the rear end, and this is a moment arm, right? That this is not to scale, but this has a radius. Probably looks something like that. See, this would be the center point, and that's the radius that draws a big giant circle. But what's going to happen when the body of the car? Hold on, sorry. I need to draw this way. So when the car squats, like when you're at a slick car, when you're squatting the car and smushing the sidewall, this radius is going to follow this line up here, and your rear end is going to get pulled that way. When the car squats, it's going to pull the rear end that way, which puts rear steer in the car. When you have a radial car, almost dropped the lid again. You have a radial car, the body's going to separate from the rear end, which is going to, I keep almost dropping this lid. Stay on there. When you have a radial car, the body's going to separate from the rear end. So this is going to come up, which means that since the rear end is connected with the lower control arm and the upper control arm, this moment arm over here is going to swing this direction, which means that it's going to shift the rear end underneath the car this way. It's shifting the rear end to the right, which is going to put rear steer in the opposite direction. So this is not good, okay? So we are going to, here we go. Here's our car with our tire, our rear end, axle tubes, lower control arm, upper control arm. What we're doing is we're adding a wishbone, which is, how do I draw this? It's gonna mount right here and it's gonna go forward. So from underneath the car, so look right here underneath the car, you're looking up at the rear end, right? The front of the car is that way. You're looking up at the rear end. So it's going to mount right here on the bottom of the car, and there's going to be a triangle right here like this. In the center is a sleeve that slips in and out. That's what this is the sleeve right here, and then there's a shaft that goes inside here that slips in and out. So the suspension travels up and down this way and that way from this point of view. That sleeve is just slipping in you know, in and out of it. The shaft is slipping in and out of the sleeve. So now the benefit of this is you have 2 fixed points here and 1 fixed point here, and it's a triangle, right? So, and it's a very, very rigid and strong triangle. It's mounted to the body here and mounted to the rear end here. What you can do is you can make this side longer, which would shift the rear end over, here. And then this side would be shorter because it has the heim joints right here. So you can adjust, you know, if you want it longer or shorter, and all it does is shift this center point on this side. It moves it left to right, and it doesn't matter that the triangle gets longer because it has this sleeve that extends in and out of itself. But you have 3 points of adjustment right here, and right here. And so that's what you use to center the rear end. Now the rear end can separate and squat and as much as it wants. This center line is not going to change no matter how much the rear end separates or squats because of a wishbone design. So that's what we're doing. We're getting rid of this Panhard bar and we're replacing it with a triangulated, what's called a wishbone with a center sleeve. So that's why we're doing all that. Well, they turned out exactly the same. That's enough of that nonsense. You're gonna just have to enjoy vlogging. Manly's here. He's filling in as friend number 1 today. So we're gonna finish up, like I said, where we left off. Okay, lots of mock-up work later. We have it in-ish.
What's the stop button do?
What?
What's the stop button do?
Turns the car off. So we have this mocked up in here. Boom, boom. It's within like 0.15 degrees. Both of the angles of the wishbone are. I'm going to tack the tabs in. I'm going to tack the gussets to the crossbar and then pull it all out and bench weld it, because you know me, I can't position weld. And then we'll go from there.
For me, but all I see is you. You are the ghost that follows me down sunset. You're the one in my review. You're the one.
Dang! I did the pedal with my hand. Never done that before. 10 minutes. It took me 10 minutes to tackle this shit in here. All right, it is the next day. Here's where we are. Look, Sai's making fun of me because he says that I like to overcomplicate things, but this is the reality. I can't do something until I fully understand why. Like with welding is a perfect example. Like I know when you weld, you melt the metal and fuse the metal together, and you add filler wire. But I couldn't actually weld well until I understood exactly what was happening and what every, what the purpose of every single thing was, and like why there was argon and why there was different tungstens and different cups and gas lenses and all that stuff. I had to understand fully like the science behind it before I could start welding these in. And same thing with these angles. Like I have to fully understand these angles before I can just go and put them together. This is what I have tubing wise to work with. I do not want to go back to the store to buy any more tubing. I'm taking it as a personal challenge to not have to go back to the store to get any more tubing. We will see. I think I might have enough. I have no idea. But right, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that same trick. I've got this tube here to help me mock it up. I'm putting it in the corner right where I want it to go, and then I'm gonna visualize and draw that line right there and cut it with the grinder, because the notcher can't go that sharp of an angle. Well, I was feeling confident and I was wrong. So to the store to get more tubing. We're back to practicing with PVC because I'm not gonna mess up any more tubes. Yep. Okay, we've got one fit up. I did not want to cheat and put it over here and not in the corner. So I practiced a couple of times with PVC, but I ended up getting it. So I'm gonna tack this one in, just give it a little tackarooski. And then I'm gonna work on, I already have this side. It started right here, but that one's gonna go there. It's gonna cut, weld to this one, and then a little kicker of some sort right there. Bang! There's a little bit of a gap on that one, but yeah, that is what it is. Alrighty, here's the deal. I think that's probably gonna wrap up this video. And that is probably gonna wrap up this video. We're gonna pick up where we left off. I might do a little bit of welding tonight, off camera. You guys have seen me weld before. I'm just gonna weld this, that's it. But I think that's gonna be it for tonight. Thanks for watching. Like always, comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next video.